Thanks for attending. So let's start on the index.ts file. So document generation started in November 2021, just for the record. And it was the beginning of DocGen on 360, basically. And if we had to look at the specs, basically what this tries to achieve is it supports DocX templates to PDF. I think you guys kind of know more or less that part. But then it also supports replacing variables by entity data. So we have our entity platform, and we need to replace data in those templates. So that's what all document generation is about. And we also have HTML variables for order tables that also show up in email templates. And we need to be able to inject HTML tables in a what you see is what you get on these PDFs. So I'll now give us a tour through what's on the present, what exists today. So today, especially for the people that are joining and also don't know how document generation works, what it is, this is the face of document generation. So basically, one of the faces that I'll talk about the automation part after. But one of the faces, the most easiest one is you basically go to any entity you have, and you can generate a document. So basically, this marries a document template with entity data, and voila, you get your template. So you have the option there to check the template. And then you get this very nice screen where you basically get to generate a document based on a template. And you can also edit that template. So you can preview it. You can see the variables that are inside that template. You can even change some of those values in case you want to, in runtime, change those values. That's what I'm going to show next. So this is an example where you get some document variables here. These variables are in the document. This is one special type of variable that we'll see after. It's an HTML variable. And you can also adjust some settings related with these HTML variables. But I'll not get too much into detail here. I just want you to have a preview of what it looks like. And then this is the end result. Obviously not of all the pages. This is second page out of 9, but is the most, I would say, the one we always look to see if the things are working well, which is the HTML table, so the order table that we render with the products. One thing that you can also see on these tabs is that you can also upload your template. And in case you are in doubt, like what variables you want to put on your document, you can search for variables on the picker there on the third tab. And lastly, one thing that document generation also does, now thanks to Viliemi, which is it enables us to preview some of the documents on our platform. So basically, we can preview CSVs, Excel files, PDFs, all of that basically touch document generation or the document API because we basically do transformations to PDF so we can actually preview it on the browser. But that's the last part and it's a small bit of it. So this is the face of document generation. In sum, this is the only thing that it does, just that. We just had this to do, right? We had a goal, which was we want to generate documents that come from DocX, and DocX is typically Word files. So let's see the requirements. So we have 3 requirements: enable replacement of text variables, HTML variables, image variables, overlays, and I think I messed the count. So it's actually 4 requirements, right? So these 4 types of variables. Text ones is typically if you have some piece of data in your entity data and you just want to replace text. HTML variables, you may have seen on the platform that we let you create custom variables. And these custom variables can actually have HTML in it. So you may be thinking, how do we put this HTML into DocX? Okay, and because the HTML needs to run there. And image variables, it's also a tricky one because if you want to render an image on a DocX, well, DocX doesn't fetch HTTP requests, right? So if you have an URL, like how do you actually show offline the image on a document? So that's a problem to solve as well. Because remember, this happens within Word. It happens on a generation, typically without access to internet, or the template itself doesn't fetch, so you need to put it there. And then also overlay HTML variables. This is perhaps the most hard part of document generation because if you want what you see is what you get HTML table on a PDF, because the end result of document generation is a PDF, how do you actually put the table in there? Because it needs to look like the same as it would look on a browser. So how can we actually make that? The Word doesn't do that for you, for sure. So, but now a little bit more of juice, so you guys have an overall picture. So you can see that this arrow here, 360 portal, it's where you do manual generations. This is typically the case, giving also some business insights, is the case like I collected the lead through a submission, and then I have to adjust my opportunity. I need a new order that I customly adjust for the customer, maybe added the rebate, like a discount, and then I generate a document that I send on an email. So by that, as a service agent, I'm already interacting with the user. No more automations because just a human talking to another human trying to close the deal. But this the first part is the automations, where basically a submission comes in, we generate the opportunity, we generate the order, and we send an email with an email template that sends an attachment, which is a document template. And that's the automation calling document API to generate a document. So we have basically the API receives a request, then we have a worker that synchronously is going to process this, and the caller can actually wait. It's like a job. You get the job ID and you get to call. You get to poll that job ID for when it's ready. And then basically what this gets to do is pick up the template, looks at the template's variable API. So that's this used to replace the document variable. So basically we use DocX templater, we collect all the variables we need, then we talk with templates API and say, okay, give me the values. It gives the values, and then with all the data, we try to do all that magic we just talked up there to get it replaced. And eventually you get a PDF, and I send that back to the client, and then, well, in the email templates case, the email gets an email attachment with a PDF, and everything works fine. We use also DynamoDB, which is where we basically store the status, where we store the status of what's happening. No, this is the bucket. This is DynamoDB. So we store everything on a bucket. We have a DynamoDB table to track the job status. And it's more or less the service map, what's connected with document generation. Obviously, here it's missing the whole 360 part that is related with file preview. That's kind of new. Okay. And if you were to see on a flow diagram, this is basically everything that I told you before. So we start with the processing DocX, which is basically we just unzip it. We identify all the variables using DocX templater. So, and then basically if there is a data table variable, if there is no data table variable, then we are happy because it's super simple. We just replace the variables and get you a template. If there is a data table, then we render the headless browser, compute the table height, inject some empty space for the paragraphs, and then create the overlays and glue them on the PDF, and on the end you get the final PDF. We are done. Thanks for attending. This is more or less the document generation. Hope you like it.